Evening and welcome to CCMA's webinar on Google Apps with Matthew Alpaugh. Matthew will be conducting our webinar this evening, and at this point I'm going to turn it over to Matthew to say hello and to tell us a little bit about himself. Matthew, thank you.
All right, great. Thanks, Frank. Thanks everybody out there for taking some time and let me crash your evening. So welcome to all you out there on your college campuses or as campus ministers or students or educators or folks just helping promote the faith out there. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about Google Apps for Education, or G Suite, which is called now. I kind of titled this Creation, Collaboration, and Productivity. I think that those are kind of the three main tenets that kind of sit inside the Google world that we're going to kind of touch on tonight. So I guess a little bit about me, allow me to introduce myself. So I'm Matt Alpaugh. I'm the Director of Technology, currently the Director of Technology for Schools for the Archdiocese of New York. That's about just about 200 schools in the Archdiocese of New York, from Staten Island all the way to about 20 miles south of Albany. And I work with a really awesome team of folks in the teaching and learning department in the office of the superintendent of schools. And what my main focus is actually this. I go into schools. I help them make decisions, hopefully great decisions, on instructional hardware for their students. I help guide principals when it comes to technology, and I do a lot of instruction when it comes to Google, when it comes to blended learning, when it comes to using Chromebooks and all types of technology in schools. And I've been in that position for about a year now. Previously, I worked for 9 years in a Catholic high school in New Jersey. Which I also was a graduate of. So I've been about 10 years working in Catholic education, and I've been a product of education, Catholic education as well, K right through college. So go Bonnies. I don't know if there's any St. Bonaventure folks out there, but that's where I graduated from college. I'm very passionate about the intersection of technology and innovation and education and creativity, and it's what is kind of the cornerstone of what I love to do. And when I'm not doing tech work or working in schools, my side passions are hanging out with my wife, my dog, who I hope will never end up getting on this recording, but you never know, because I'm here recording in my home office. And we love working on our 100-year-old home here in New Jersey and doing a lot of creating and designing of handmade goods, especially out of wood. And if you're ever interested, you can check us out at Ride In Engineering. Is how you can dig us up. So that's a little bit about me. And again, thanks for having me. And I'm just going to kind of dig right in. And I just want to go over again, so you guys have a kind of a scope of where we're headed tonight in this hour that we get to spend together. I have a few slides that I want to run through to kind of set a baseline of what Google Apps or what G Suite is, and we're going to talk about how you folks can use it on your end for some great collaborative work and some productivity, and make your lives a heck of a lot easier. I hope, we hope, as campus ministers. And after I kind of go through a couple slides, I'm actually going to dig into it. I'm going to show you some of the nuts and bolts, show you what it looks like from the back end. And show you how easy it is to use. And then when we kind of come back to that, I'll also give another opportunity after that for you guys to ask some questions. But feel free anytime to speak up, and Frank will shoot some questions over me. So let's start. Real easy, right? What the heck is Google Apps, or it's now called G Suite? Well, Google Apps is a set of collaborative tools and applications that live inside of the Google ecosystem. So if any of you are familiar with Chrome, probably have Chrome browsers on your phones or your computers. Chrome is a Google product, and all of these apps that live inside of the G Suite or Google Apps are Google products as well. They're inherent to that Google ecosystem. It's completely free. They're all free tools that are accessible to you guys either through an existing Gmail address that you have. I'm sure a lot of your colleges or institutions that you may be affiliated with or have been in the past, many of them now use Google as the foundation of everything they do, specifically email. So if you're familiar with Gmail, you're familiar with it in your college campuses. Even for quite some time, it's been used in high schools. So that's where the kind of the baseline is. It's completely online. It's accessible anywhere in the world. It's cloud driven from a browser. We're going to get a little bit into this, but it's got a series of apps that's built into it that's kind of the equivalent of Microsoft, of what you would see in Microsoft Office. Um, and what I really love about what Google stands for and what Google is I think the learning curve is pretty low, and I think there's some great tools in here that are really going to help you guys out. So um, this is where I take a quick little survey and ask how many folks. I can't see the little control panel, but this is kind of where I say how many folks of you are familiar with Google or have Gmail accounts. So I can kind of take a survey here to see um, how many people are kind of familiar with it. But if you guys can weigh in, and I can take a look at that thing later. But what I really kind of want to dig into right now is how does Google help me, right? So how does a bunch of apps that sit online that I am familiar, that I may or may not be familiar with, that's tied to email, how does that make my life easier and more productive? So some three of the tenets that were kind of underneath this webinar title on that CCMA page was, how can you guys use this? We're going to cover schedule one-on-ones with students. How can you create meeting agendas with your teams? And how can you save time and decrease stress? So those are some things we're going to go over. So if you look here, I'm going to pull these up real quick. Making time, right? So you guys are campus ministers, you're on a campus, you have busy schedules, you have students who you service who have busy schedules, and making time to be able to meet with them and be meaningful is, the backbone of what you do. So where are some of those pain points that hit you on a day-to-day basis? And you know what, beyond the world that you guys live into, these are the things that I address in the educational world and we address in the business world as well. You know, constantly having flooded email inboxes. How do you negotiate that and keep it organized? How can you better schedule folks? Even with all the technology that's available to us, including email and text messaging, sometimes you need to funnel that down into a single spot that make it easier and help automate it a little for you, especially when you have a lot of responsibilities during your day and you may have a large student body that you're trying to access. How do you do good follow-up from there too, and keep track of that? We're going to talk about some tools for there. And how do you make all this communication easy, like I said, in automation? So these seems like some of the natural pain points that you guys may have and that we have, the greater population of folks have. And where's Google's fix in all this? Well, it's kind of easy, right? It's easy to use. Google Apps, like I said, pretty low learning curve here. We're going to walk through the tools of what's in the toolbox and show you what they look like. And many of you may have already played with some of this stuff. Highly collaborative. I think this is where Google does a really good job with these tools. We're talking about a series of apps that talk to each other and also allow for collaboration with team members. So we're going to take a look at docs or sheets or slides, which are Google's equivalent to Microsoft Office's Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. And those tools, which can be accessible anywhere online in a browser, automatically back up for you all of the time with no saving. You can even use it on your phone. Have the ability for you to collaborate with teams or with one or two folks even. You can share, and we're going to actually do it tonight in real time if you like. You're going to actually be able to work up an agenda, send it out to your team, and allow them to do edits wherever they are, which is really cool. The other thing that I really love about Google, it takes up such a huge footprint in the world, in the web world, and in the tech world, and in the educational sphere, that it integrates with absolutely everything. And I'm sure that some of you have already kind of experienced this, but maybe don't even realize what its power is. How many of you have ever went onto a website and it says log in with Google, or you probably have even experienced log in with Facebook? Same concept. There's an integration. Since Google's so huge, everybody wants to work with it. So it's really easy to find a lot of other applications and tools out there that Google doesn't even make, and I'm going to show you some resources where you can get those to grab and to use Google kind of as your baseline for integration with other tools and link them all up. Okay, so what's in the box? Okay, so when you open up a Google account, or you have access to it right now, even through a Gmail that you may already have, what's inherently in there when you open it up? And again, I'm gonna show you the back end of these tools in just a little while. So inside of there, you got email. Right. So again, if any of you have experienced email or any type of email, online email like Yahoo or Hotmail, very similar. Google uses Gmail. It's highly searchable. I think it has some great features when it comes to labels and organization. And so in the box, you're going to get email. You're going to get Docs, which is the Google's equivalent to Microsoft Word. Again, highly collaborative, and lives inside the cloud, saves automatically with unlimited revision history. So in case somebody deletes something, you can go back. Sheets, again, equivalent of the Microsoft Excel. So it's a spreadsheet program. I think probably one of the tools that I use the most is Google Sheets. I can't tell you how many times when you have to do something that you have to contain inside of a spreadsheet, whether it's keeping track of folks who are going to come to an event, or even doing quick budgets, and keeping track of money. You get to it's all lives inside of those sheets. So we have Google Slides, which is the PowerPoint equivalent to Microsoft Office, and again, completely collaborative. It's great for presentations when you have a group of folks who need to maybe work on something, like you're going to do a retreat or you're going to have a meeting and you're going to want to put something in front of folks' face, and you want them to follow along with the presentation. You got Google Slides. There's a built-in calendar that integrates all into those with your email as well. There's Google Forms, which I'm going to show you open up to, which I think is such a powerful tool, especially for you folks who may need to keep track of things or ask people questions or have them register for an event, or maybe just RSVP for something. Or I have a form for volunteering, I think, or service, and I have a resource folder that I built with you that I'm going to be able to share, and we're going to go through, that has some templates that you guys are going to be able to actually use and copy. Um, um, and Hangouts. So Hangouts is another great tool that we got, and Hangouts is a video conferencing service that's free right inside Google. You can even make phone calls on it. I actually use it in the Archdiocese, being so huge. It's a great tool for me to really quickly, when I can't physically be someplace that's far away, I can just literally use an email account, and ring somebody up right on my computer, use the internal webcam, and do a quick little video chat with them. Google Sites is another one. You can build some pretty cool little websites inside of here. I'll show you an example of that, which is really sharp. YouTube is integrated. Google owns YouTube. So for those of you who, again, like this webinar is a great example. If you ever did some webinar stuff where you wanted to do videos or document some of the work that you're doing, you could make your own YouTube channel. It all integrates in there. And the thing that holds all this, I mentioned a box, and what I want to clarify is it's a virtual box. So when you sign up and you get that Gmail account, or you activate this, and I'm going to show you how you can do that through your university, these tools are just inherent. You're going to see a little launch pad, and you're going to be able to access these automatically. But what holds all your files inside online, kind of your online My Docs, is what's called Google Drive. And I'm going to show you what that looks like too. And that's kind of the organizational backbone of everything of what's included inside of Google Apps. I just got a message through, so it looks like about maybe a half a dozen or so of you are familiar, or maybe have Gmail apps, or know what I'm talking about. So awesome for you guys, and for the rest of you. And now I kind of know where I can gear some of my conversation to. So actually, what I want to do is, before I get into, I am going to talk about this real quick. I'm going to show you some nuts and bolts in a minute, but this is a big question that a lot of folks ask me. So I have Microsoft Office. Why the heck do I want to use Google? And that's a really fantastic question. And, they're so comparative. what Google offers is so so close to what Microsoft offers, and I don't really believe that in especially in the educational world and the work that you guys are doing, I really don't believe that there's quite a compromise at all from using something like Google. In fact, I think there's a lot more advantages, especially being free and especially the collaborative nature of it. Um, I really think it's kind of got a little bit of a one-up over some of the services that Microsoft Office offers right now, and especially being free, I think is one of the most it draws me instantly to it, especially in the educational world. So I like to kind of touch on that a little bit more, and I can answer some of that later if those are some specific questions that you have. But usually that kind of comes up in conversation, and I love to throw it out there. So I'm going to actually escape out of here, and you guys are now going to see my my computer screen on my desktop and my browser, and I want to show you a little bit of what we have going on here behind the scenes, and kind of tackle, show you some of the logistics, some of what this looks like, um, show you how I built some tools for you guys and some resources. So the first thing I want to do here is point out this presentation that I built is right here inside of Google Slides. This is what Google Slides looks like, their PowerPoint equivalent, if you will. So your whole entire presentation that I just kind of gave to you is built right inside of here. I did this online. I actually, to be honest with you, I did it in multiple locations. I started this at a late day at the office on one computer and came home and picked it up on on another one automatically just by logging into my my account. You can see the layout here in the toolbar is pretty self-explanatory. You know, present is present. Making and adding new slides with this plus button is pretty simple, and moving them around and reconfiguring them. And not that I'm going to go through these specific nuts and bolts in all of my in all these apps, but I wanted to show you how easy it is to just kind of navigate through and almost intuitive for most folks to work. So actually what I want to do is I've made all this live, and one of the resources I want to show you is how easy it is to share what I have. So you can see here, I went up to the top button over here and pressed share, and I'm actually going to share this presentation with you. You can see I have some settings. Everything inside of Google operates the same. So if this was a doc, a Google Docs, or this was a form, or this was a Sheets, this all works exactly the same way in every single. So I'm going to say that anybody with this link can edit, so it doesn't matter if you guys have accounts, and I'm going to copy this, and I'm actually going to put this right inside the chat bar over here, if I can dig that up. And you guys are going to see that if you went to go click on that link right now, anybody who's out there, you actually would be able to jump right inside on this slide. And I'll wait a second to see if anybody decides they want to be adventurous and click on that link. And you'll actually start to see as people will come in and be a part of this actual slideshow.
Okay, Matt, it's Frank. You sent it to organizers, so you need to go back to all, please.
Oh, I apologize, folks. I'm sorry. Frank, I don't see an option to send to all.
I can do that. Hold on, please.
So I put it to you as private. I don't see it all. It just says organizers only. I apologize about that, guys.
I didn't realize you didn't have that. This is the link I'm sending to all now.
Great.
So you should be able to click on that, folks, and it is safe to do so.
Absolutely, guys. See, so you can actually see right here. See, people are starting to pop in to the thing here. We got Mike St. Pierre is inside of here. Okay, you can start to see how folks are popping in, and you guys actually you can click through the slideshow at will if you like. You can take a look at what's coming up, but I didn't get to yet. But this is a great way for folks to organize and to collaborate with each other. I can even come in here if I was to double click on somebody here, even though they're anonymous. I should be able to see if you don't have an account. You can, it doesn't put your face or name up here, but you can even have dialogue inside of here and talk and collaborate in real time. So I think that that's pretty cool. So I'm going to move out of slides, and I want to show you what the rest of Google kind of looks like here. All right. So, and I'm going to actually be sharing some other links and some other stuff with you as we go along as well. So if you look at my browser, I'm logged into a Chrome browser. It's a standard Chrome browser. and I've come. You can see up here by the little M in the corner. That means that I've logged in, and that's what you want to do when you're in Chrome. And when I get into Chrome, you can look over here. I have a little apps button, and this is going to pull up uh, what the apps are that are available to me. And I can show you some other ways we're going to do this too, but inside of the Google Suite, right? So we have Google Docs, we have Drive. You can search Google. Here's Gmail, and what I want to jump into real quick here is Google Drive, because this is kind of the backbone, the house that keeps all of your information in. And I sometimes folks have some trepidation when you start talking about having online places to store your files. Like, where is that stuff? It's up in the cloud. Does it disappear? It must be hard to manage it. Or how do I upload things to there and then get them off? Or what if I create something inside of Google and I have to send it to somebody and they can only read it in Microsoft Office? Well, I want to show you how easy it is to actually organize all of your information inside of here. So this is my Google Drive that I use. This is not my Archdiocesan one, but this is my one I use for presentations like this. And you can see that all in here is these are a bunch of file folders, and then here are some random files, very similar to the My Docs on your computer, I guess I could say. And this is where I can access all of my stuff from anywhere I want. And I want to show you a couple of things before I dive in, and I'm going to actually pull my screen back a little bit and show you how easy you can pull things right off your desktop. Here's a PDF flyer on my desktop here, and I'm going to have a cart that we were buying for a school, and I'm going to pull that. My mouse works for me here. Let me get my mouse to stop sticking. I can pull this guy right in here. Come on. Sorry, guys, I got a mouse problem on my trackpad here that doesn't want to cooperate. Let me grab something else. Here we go. So you can see that was a photo that I actually used, and see how it pops right in here. If I can grab that PDF, and it's just drop and drag right into my thing. It really quick here. I mean, I just have a standard internet connection at home. It tells you, and now all of these files, these are not even Google files. That's a PDF. That's an image. Live right inside of here. And I can open them up and access them on anything, even on my phone. I can take these and I can actually put these into file folders. So here's a CCMA file that I made, actually, that has some information for you guys. And you can see I can drop and drag all of my files right inside of there and organize it very well. This is a layout where everything's right in front of me, like tabs. You can go over here on the side. You can even see that I can have it listed a different way if I like. You can choose how you want your files and folders to be set up, which is really cool. Another great thing about living inside the cloud is your trash bin. When you throw stuff in the garbage, it really kind of doesn't go anywhere, so you always have the opportunity to go back and check it. I love that. I love that feature in here. It really makes life a lot easier. So let's dig into the CCMA folder that I built, and you can see here's my files inside of here. And here's a file folder, and I'm going to show you how easy this is too. I'm going to share this with you again. So I'm going to do this basically the same thing that I did previously with that single file, and I'm going to take a link right here, and I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to send this out, and hopefully Frank can send this out to the rest of you again. And anybody can feel free to click on that, and it's going to open up a window for you to actually be able to see some of the tools that live inside of here. I don't need to wait for anybody. You guys just can open it at your leisure and take a look at anything. You can take a look at anything you want inside of there. So inside this folder, I have my files, and I have all of the resources that I've built into here, and it's, this is a similar to a file folder that I would have created in say Microsoft Office or on my desktop, that just holds all of my files or my docs that I created inside of Google Apps, or as you saw before, pulled in from the outside world as any type of file, whether PDF or a Microsoft file. So I want to kind of dig into some of the tools that I actually think are going to be the greatest for you as campus ministers. Hopefully help make your life a heck of a lot easier. And the things I want to specifically pull out for you and show you are I'm going to show you what Google Docs looks like and what an agenda is that I made that you guys will be able to use as a template. And I'll invite you to actually be inside of that agenda with me. And you feel free to edit it if you like to while we're inside of there. I'm going to show you what a form looks like and how that information is collected. I'm going to show you a resource called Calendly, which actually will help you schedule, and it will integrate with calendars. And then I'm going to kind of wrap up on this resources that I have list for you inside I have in here. And if we have a little time, I might even be able to show you what a Google site looks like as well if you guys are interested in using that. So let's start with the agenda right now. And I'm going to just double click on this like I would any file. Opens right up, living right online here. Okay, and you can see, look, I got folks already in here. Awesome, you guys are awesome. Okay, so you're inside this agenda. As you can see, I see people inside of here. I see them roaming around my agenda and making you can make edits. If somebody, please don't hesitate. If somebody wants to make an edit, delete something, change a name, be my guest. We got Mike St. Pierre, nice guy. He is a nice guy. I know that guy. So you guys can edit, and you can see how we're all in here together doing it at the same time, which is really, I think, is kind of pretty cool. So this is a really great tool. You can just throw a link out to your team, and you can create agenda before it even happens. Questionable. I love this. You can also, I mentioned this before, I want to take a look up here before I grab this tool. If you see, the toolbar up here is very similar to any word processing program that that you guys have ever seen. So it's pretty standard text editing stuff. As far as the formatting is concerned, the tools are the same. So this really shouldn't be very foreign to anybody, and it probably has a pretty low learning curve. So the one thing I do want to point out, which I think is really a remarkable tool that lives inside of here, is if I go up to File over here, you can see I can hit Revision History, and over here on the right-hand side, if you see what pops up, is all the edits that have been made on here to date. And I can actually go back in time before these edits. If I go back to 1:59 p.m. the other day, here it'll show me, see, this looked like something different before than it did. And I can actually restore that, which I'm not going to right now, to a different version of this. So if you have multiple people working on a project together, you have that capability of going back in time automatically. There's a trick that I'm not going to do it, obviously, but you guys could try it at home. We don't recommend trying this at home right now because we're on this webinar, but there's an old trick we used to do, which is we'd have somebody type on their computer and then shut the computer off in the middle of them typing on one of these docs and then turn it back on. It would be exactly where they left off. So it's saving for you all the time in real time. And you can actually see right here, see last edit was made seconds ago by Anonymous, and it's already saved that. Okay, so let's take a look at this agenda and see some of these resources that can help you, right? So I actually did create this agenda with some mock items on it, and I actually put some resources that we can use inside of Google Apps right inside of here. So if we walk down this agenda, you can say, let's discuss about some students in crisis. You can see, you can embed live links in here, and if you look, here's a link that could be in the agenda, sort of recognizing helping students in distress from the Counseling and Wellness Center. This was a link that I just threw in here, so you can have agendas that are live, working in real time. So how cool is it when you think about students, when you meet them or you have a team meeting, most folks are using their mobile devices almost all the time. So now you could have an agenda where folks collaborate on it, and then you distribute it ahead of time, and folks come up and can just take a look at this right on their phones if they wanted to, and be able to have live links right in here, and they could follow along. No printing, no paper. Also, it kind of allows you to have a meeting wherever the heck you want. You don't have to really bring a lot of tools with you, considering the fact that most people wow, this is great. Thanks. Most people have a mobile device with them. So let's kind of walk down here a little bit again, right? Again, another tool here. This is just another normal link inside of here, just to show you how links work. And this brought up a policy from Alpaugh State University, my local university here right in town, where I live in New Jersey. Again, another example of embedding links. I want to walk down to this one, which I think is really, really cool. So I put on the agenda for thinking we're maybe going to have a retreat. So the question is who's coming on the retreat? That's a really great question, right? So a lot of times you might use a spreadsheet to track folks, or they might reply to you in an email. Here's where your time gets saved and a lot of energy and resources get used a lot better and a lot more economics here. If you look at this one that I've embedded, this actually goes to a Google form. Well, actually, it's going to go to, I believe, the spreadsheet of a Google form. If it'll load for me here. So here we go. So, all right, I cheated and I pre-populated this, but I'm going to actually let you guys do that if you want to too. So you can see here's a spreadsheet. I'm showing the end result first, but here is a Google form. Here's a Google spreadsheet of all the folks who might want to come, who are going to come to our retreat. And I want to show what I want to show you is how I got all these folks' names. So if I go back out here to my file folder, you can see I have a CCMA weekend retreat. Now I can show you guys, these resources are all for you. Okay, so if you want to take these, I'm not closing out this file folder. If you wanted to use these resources in the future, all you'd ever have to do is come in here. You can right click on any of these and you can make a copy of them. And you can add them all to your own Google Drive or steal them and use them as your templates. So let's open up the form that I actually built inside of here for the weekend retreat. So this is a real quick and dirty form that I built as a representation for a potential retreat that you guys would use, that you could find out who's coming and we can use it in this demonstration. I built this form in probably about 10 minutes. It was fairly easy. I just came in here. You can see I just added some really basic information: your name, first name, email, cell phone number. You can see that over here on the right hand side is your bar, so you can quickly add things. So let's take an example here. If I wanted to add a new question inside of this form, I would literally just press the plus button and it's going to ask me to add another question, and I can choose what type of question it is. It could be a short answer, a multiple choice, a checkbox, a drop down. You even ask people to enter time and dates. You can make the question required or not. You can copy questions, and you can also move them around, reorder them any way you want. And that's basically the whole how Google Forms works. I'm going to actually delete this question that I just made, and I'm going to show you what this form looks like in real time. And I actually can send you this link if I click up here to the send. So if you were to create this form, you could come up here, press send. You can see you can email it right to somebody if you'd like. I actually like this method a little better, where you grab the link. I'm going to share this link with you folks, and you can go and I'm going to have you fill out this form, and I'm going to show you what it looks like in real time. I'm going to send this over to Frank again so he can send it out to you. And I'm going to join you in showing you and seeing what the form looks like. This is what the form looks like on the web. You can see we can enter our information right inside of here. Well, that's my first name. Right, put my email address. I'm going to actually have you guys, if anybody feels adventurous enough to fill out the form, I'm going to show you when I go back over here to this spreadsheet. Actually, I'm going to go back here. There's two ways to see your responses. And while you guys are filling that out, I'm going to kind of go over, take a look at some of the ways you see the responses, and you're going to start to see where your names start to populate. I'm actually going to go back. You can actually see somebody right here is filling it out as we talk, because you can start to see some of the things that are popping up, which is really cool. It's very responsive and really happening in real time.
Matthew?
Yeah.
Some folks are saying they need permission to access that.
Oh, my apologies. Hold on one second, guys. This is great. I'm actually happy this happened. So I'm going to do this, everybody. Let me go back inside of here. And tools. Oh, cancel, sorry. Oh, public on the web. We'll save that. Done. And are folks having problems filling out the form totally? Like when they click that link that's to asking them for permission to fill out the form or just to access the place where they can edit?
I only know it said I need permission. And when I tried it, it took me and tried to log me in to my Google account.
Okay, guys, I'm sorry. Hold on one second.
Michael says this form can only be viewed by users in the owner's organization. That's what he's getting. Somebody else says you need permission. Yeah,
Hold on, guys. I'm sorry. I thought I opened everything up.
I contacted the owner. Thank you, Michael.
Oh, here we go. All right. Everybody should be able to get in now.
Same link.
Um, yep, it should be the exact same link.
Okay. Yep, I went in. No problem. Thank you.
All right, good. Sorry, guys. So actually, that's a great, great example. You actually have a lot of control over these forms and a lot of the things where you can lock them down to folks, and choose, who you want to have access to, especially if you're doing some editing or some collaboration. You're capable of locking them down and asking specifically for email addresses or people in your organization. But obviously, then in this case, we want everybody to be able to see it, so we open it up to everybody. And I'm actually kind of happy that happened, so I could show you what it means for that. I'm going to go back over here to the spreadsheet
Before you
where
go
we saw some of those answers.
on, Matthew,
Yep.
Mike,
Yep.
Mike sent over a form that CCMA just released today that they created. If anyone wants to see that,
Cool.
and I just sent that link out to everybody.
That's great. So here you can actually see somebody just filled this out and put in all the information that they wanted to in here. That's great. I love it. And you can see I'm watching this form get filled out basically in real time, which I think is kind of cool. So that as you have people who are filling that piece out that you email out to them with that link, you can come back right inside of here and you can see all of your answers right on a spreadsheet. So there's no transcribing of information. You can easily sort. This is just a spreadsheet. This is a great demo of what Sheets in Google looks like. It looks just like Excel. You can alphabetize and sort inside of here. If I wanted to sort by last name, you can see I just kind of go right up in here and I press sort A to Z and I can sort by last name just like you can in Sheets. All the information is collected right inside of here. I think another cool function inside. If you look on the bottom here, see I got this little dialog box that says Explore. It'll actually bring up a box over here that it should show if it works on this form. See, actually bring up some charts for you if you really want to do some quick analytics. You can see, like in this case, obviously people's names aren't going to help, but right here you can see real quick how many folks need extra large or large shirts if you are trying to keep track of things. So there's some kind of cool analytics that are built right inside of the form. So that Explore feature is kind of cool, and it's something that actually I use constantly. So that's kind of a two kind of a dual thing here. You're showing you how does forms work, okay, and then how Sheets works, and then how it works in conjunction with forms, which I think inside the Google Suite, and Microsoft can't touch this if you're still doing that comparison. I think that this is such a powerful tool for you guys to save time out there. So if you go back, I'm going to slide back to my folder inside of here where I had some resources for you.
Excuse me, I have a question, Matthew, if you don't mind probably taking it.
Of course.
That do with spreadsheets. Sherry's asking, is there a way to add info to the response spreadsheet without it being overridden next time info is collected from forms?
Oh, that's a great question. You can absolutely add whatever you want to that response spreadsheet, and nothing will get overridden. So if you wanted to take all the information that you collected from your forms and then there was something that you needed to add to it, like an extra column or highlighting or a new row, you can absolutely do that, and the form will continue to add information, and it won't overwrite anything. And in fact, if you needed to use the same form over and over again, you can actually choose to use that form again, and then just choose to send it to another spreadsheet, so all of your information that you have on there will stay. And you can separate the two. You can also clear out that spreadsheet anytime you want and start from scratch. There's a lot of options that are built right inside there. That's a great question.
Sherry, I opened up your microphone if you have a follow-up. Are you all set?
Okay,
Nothing
cool.
right now.
All right, thank you.
Okay, great. So that's that weekend retreat one that I made, and that form is not very complicated to make, but is a bigger style form. Another one I have inside of here that's another form that you guys are more than welcome to use as a template is just a simple form that shows how to, somebody to maybe they were going to use for volunteer. Again, most forms that I've ever used ask really the same basic questions: last name, first name, email address, and then here you can even see that these folks are going to choose a time that they want to show up to help be a volunteer. So this is just another quick little example of the way a form works. So let's just recap for a second here before I kind of move on to a new place, in case there's questions that somebody else wants to ask. I got about 41 or 42 minutes in, and I want to make sure that I save a little time at the end, and I do have one or two things I wanted to continue to show you. So we have our agenda, which we made inside of Docs, a template for you guys to use, where you saw where we embedded all of these links, and then we went right to the forms or went to outside web sources, which is really cool. We walked through our forms and how they were built, and you're going to have a lot of fun with this. I encourage you to play with it. Have a good time and really kind of experiment. It's kind of mind-blowing once you get into forms and once you start to screw around, and you can see all the stuff that you can kind of do inside of there. And then we saw what sheets look like based on that form. And again, you don't have to attach a sheet to forms. You can open up a brand new Google Sheet if you want and use it as like you would an Excel spreadsheet anytime you want, and have any information on there. And it has many of the same functions that you see in Excel. You can do some pretty advanced pivot tables inside of here. You can anything you can really do inside of Excel, you can do inside here. You can make charts and graphs as well, and of course, it's all collaborative.
Right, Matt,
so I want to pull back. Yes.
Before you go on, I have Sherry has another question, and then I have a question from Michael and Victoria. So please,
Great.
Go ahead, Sherry. Sherry, you're on. Oh, sorry. Hold on. Let me see. Wait a minute. There we go. Sherry, you're on. Sorry about that.
No problem. We use Google Forms for spring break trip applications this year for the first time. So I have, 40 responses, some of which have, I have probably 26 columns of information. So that's kind of cumbersome in a spreadsheet. Is there a better way to get an individual application that doesn't end up being 7 pages long?
Yeah, that's a great question. So,
one.
The only other way inside of Forms that I'm aware of that's built inside of the system to be able to look over your responses is either through that spreadsheet or through, if I just put it on my screen, this response tab that sits on the top that allows you to go through here, and it gives you a summary or individual, which is maybe what you're looking for, and you can actually print out each one of these pages individually.
Yeah, and if you do that, each one's going to be like 7 pages long.
I'm sorry, you say that one more time?
It doesn't condense the text. So each form is, for my purposes, each form was 7 pages long, each individual's responses.
Sure.
So that wasn't easy, but
built inside of Sheets, unfortunately, there's not something that condenses that down. And I know it does get quite cumbersome on that spreadsheet or in that forms, but there's not.
But it's so much
a way
easier than paper forms. So yay.
Yeah, it's not. There's not a way to specifically condense it down, unfortunately.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry.
You're welcome.
Michael and Victoria have a question regarding cloud security. Would you consider storing financial documents in the Google Drive, or should they be maintained locally? And are Google servers FERPA compliant?
That's a fit. Yes, Google servers are FERPA compliant 100%. In fact, Google has a very, very extensive security policy, especially when it comes to student information. Um, I trust Google with pretty much everything I have, but I will make this caveat. My recommendation for organizations is that hard financial information it's probably not good practice to store it in Google. That is not saying that I don't believe Google is secure. I do believe Google is secure. And I have to tell you something. I say this a lot. Google's huge and they service so many folks. If Google was to go down or something was to happen, there would be a riot on the streets and it would be ridiculous. So Google has a lot at stake here, and I know, and I've actually met with Google on their security protocol in Manhattan at their offices about, especially when it comes to student information specifically. So I feel very confident in it, but I will recommend, it is a recommendation that I always give organizations that I talk to. Financial information should be really stored someplace that's local and secure, on your computer. I would not use Google as your primary place for financials. It's always just good practice to have that stored locally in a secure place that you feel comfortable with as well.
Great. Thank you. And we can move on. That's the last question.
You're welcome. Great. Okay, so back to our CCMA a folder here that I shared with you folks. Okay. Before I leave this folder, I just want to point out one other thing to you. Again, this folder is open for you guys to use as a resource. I made a little resource sheet here that lives inside of here. I'm actually going to use this for my next part. So I see people popping in already. I love it. On the top here, okay, is just some links for some resources. Here's 2 articles about specifically, the first one is specifically church organizations that use Google Apps. It's going to talk about some similar stuff that I use, but it's tailored towards faith-based education, faith-based organizations. I really think it's a great it's a great little article. And again, the second one underneath is just another listing of a website that has some ways to get organized with Google on the web. Underneath here is if you click on tutorials, it actually brings you to Google's G Suite YouTube channel that has just a million videos. If there's anything that you're interested in, if you want to go deeper, if you need to rehash something from today, it's a really great place to go. I use it as a tool professionally all the time. Underneath there, we're going to get to this slide a little bit, but like what's next? So if you're interested in signing up for a Google account, you click right there. If you have an email address currently and you're interested in linking Google to it, which you can do, you don't have to give up your current email address, and you just want to link it to the Google Apps Suite, you can do it there too. It's a really easy process. There's a link right to there. And then underneath there, whether you have trepidation or you're ready to fly and you just have some other questions, this G Suite FAQ is the greatest place on earth for those pieces, for that information to grab. Those are kind of just some follow-up resources that are at your disposal anytime. They're also included, those last 3 are also included inside the slideshow. I'll show you that when we kind of wrap up here in a little bit. What I wanted to bring back down here is I talked to you about integration tools outside of Google, which I think is one of the things that is very, very powerful. And one of the things we didn't touch on was the calendar and trying to negotiate what you guys have as a busy schedule, and of course the folks that you're serving have busy schedules too. So a lot of times getting people, scheduling that time with them and doing it productively is really hard. So, Google has a full calendar. I'm going to open that up in a minute. One of the outside tools that I've listed here, which is I specifically like Calendly. I believe it's just a simple tool. You Can Book Me is another scheduling tool. This can really kind of make your life a little easier. And I want to show you what it looks like really quick. So if you go here, I'm going to open up Calendly. And I talked about integration tools too. So this is how you set it up. I'm gonna press login, and I'm gonna put my email address in here. And you can see login with Google. This is where I was talking about sign-ons and integration. I'm gonna log in right here with Google, and I can choose my Google account. If you have multiple Google accounts, it even asks you, right? So this is what my dashboard inside of Calendly looks like. And what I did here is I actually, you can see, here are some of the events that I've made that folks can sign up for, and I'm going to show you how to do it. I have some event types. I have a student one-on-one. I have 15-minute meetings. I have 30-minute meetings. I have a whole bunch. Here's actually all the events that I've created inside here real simply. And I'm not going to get too deep in here because I think it's actually pretty easy, and I'd love for you guys to explore this on your own, but I want to show you how great of a tool this is that integrates into the calendar. So you can see here that I actually, I've got two events that people can book me in my calendar, and you can actually send these links out to them for them to book a time and a place in your calendar. And we're actually going to do the exercise right now. So if you're interested in actually getting a one-on-one meeting with me, this is the link that you would go to, and I'm going to actually send this to everybody, and you're more than welcome to do it on your own. As you can see, so basically the thought process here is if you needed to schedule some time with a student, you'd have a dedicated link right here that I use that you'd email out to them and say, hey guys, I'd love to schedule some time with you. Here's a link to for you to book a time to see me in the calendar. You can see this is the interface that they would see on their end. And on the back end, what I've done is I've just used my calendar to choose the days and the times that I want to block off or leave open for people to schedule a one-on-one meeting that I've tagged as a 30-minute meeting. And so a student who wants to meet with you could very easily come in here, click a day of the week that they see is open. So let's say it was a Tuesday, and here are the times that I have available on Tuesday. You can see this is Tuesday, some very specific times, as I've only marked out 5 through 8 o'clock is when they can book it. And if I was one of them and I wanted to book it, I could say I want that time, I want to confirm it. They'd have to enter their name and their email address, and they simply press schedule the event, and it's scheduled. And then that person can choose to add it to their own calendar. They'll get an email that confirms it, and then I'm going to show you on my calendar what it looks like. And we'll just do it this way. Calendar. You can see right here, this is my Google Calendar. Then I have some calendars over here. And you can have as many as you want. If anybody's ever used a calendar program, it's a pretty simple thing. You can build out calendars in here and add them on your phone or add them on your computer. You can see, let's see where that event is. We did it on a Thursday, I think. Now I got to remember when I booked it. I think we booked it next week.
Yeah, I think it was March.
Yep. So on Tuesday the 28th, you can see automatically it's red. It's a campus ministry event. And Matt, I got booked, and it tells me the person that booked it. It tells me what the time is. It's a student one-on-one, and it was automatic, and it even has all the descriptions. So another really cool thing you could do is if you see students a lot and you want to book them for, again, I said a one-on-one, you can choose whatever you want to name it. You could put that link right on a business card or on the bottom of your email and your signature, and then people would have the opportunity to book it anytime they want. The cool part is the second that hits my calendar, that spot's now blocked off, so nobody else can take it. And if I was to actually come in here on my calendar and at 6 o'clock manually put something on my calendar like dinner, it would block that off on that calendar view for those folks who are going to sign up as well. It's really intuitive, really easy. Actually, the Calendly link that right when you go into the first page, and this is one of the reasons why I didn't get too deep in this, is there's a great video that shows you how to walk through the step guides after you sign up on this, and it's so dead easy that I'm confident that you guys can figure it out real sharp. And so that's, I think, is probably one of the best, one of the coolest tools, and maybe one of the most productive tools you guys can use. So I got about 5 minutes or so before our hour is up here, and I wanted to go back to that resource sheet real quick. I wanted to mention one or two other things in here that I think might be worthy for you to check out, and then open it up for anybody who's got some extra questions here. Okay, so these two top ones here, Calendly and You Can Book Me, is just another scheduling tool. I used to use that a while back, and I think it's a real fantastic tool and very worthy and very similar to Calendly. I think Calendly maybe just might be a little bit sharper and a little bit easier to use. Underneath here, another tool I've used many times called LucidPress. So all of those applications that I talked about that are inside of Google, one of them I didn't get to was a publishing program, that kind of like what Microsoft Publisher used to be. Doesn't exist anymore. LucidPress is an online publishing program. It allows you to create publications like flyers or postcards or magazines, all online. It's all collaborative and it's free for educators. And you can also you can not only have a file that you could send out to somebody via email, but you can also publish it online and have folks take a look at that as well. Really, really awesome tool. Eventbrite and Sketch. I really love these tools. Eventbrite is just another tool for you guys doing registration out there if you're going to have an event like a retreat or do service hours. It's a tool that I used a million times inside of education. I think it's really sharp. It's what the pros use. Again, it's completely free, and it's got some great online tools. I think it's worthy to check out. Great integration with Google. The next one is Sketch. It's a schedule builder. Again, if you guys are doing workshops or conferences or retreats where you have a day-to-day schedule, Sketch works directly with Eventbrite, works with Google, total integration. I think that there is a free version, but that has some limitations. But even the price tag on the one that needs to be paid is so worth the price. I think it's maybe $50 or $75. It allows you to put an online mobile schedule that folks can follow over the course of the day, and even add things like presenters, add bios of people who might be there, or specifics and maps, especially if you're going to do any types of events as campus ministers. And the last one I have on here is MailChimp. If anybody, a lot of people know what MailChimp is in these days. It got kind of popular. If anybody ever listens to some NPR podcasts, they have a lot of MailChimp advertisements. MailChimp is, I think, is the most dead simple email marketing tool ever made. If you guys need to reach a large audience and send them information that's important, but not maybe tailored like you would in a personal email, I think MailChimp is probably one of the best tools out there. And I think one of the two coolest things about it is, one, it allows you some amazing customization, completely and totally free, and also it allows you to track. You know, most of us a lot of times send stuff out into the world and don't really know who's opening it or taking a look at it. And this will give you guys an opportunity to send information and messages out to maybe a student body, or after you collected some email addresses from folks who are maybe interested in being a part of your program, and you're going to actually be able to see how many of those folks really opened up those emails, took a look at them, or clicked through to them. And that really will help you make a lot of decisions maybe in the future on how you like to communicate, right? One of the underlying themes of the webinar is communication, and I feel like one of the big things we need in the world of communication is some type of system to understand if our communication is even working. So those are some great resources that I wanted to throw on inside of there for you. And I know this was just a little touch and a smattering of what's inside of there. And I try not to want to be overwhelming or kind of shoot everything out like a fire hose. And I kind of hope that this gelled together at least a little bit. You know, if there's any questions that you folks have out there and you'd like me to answer, I'd be more than happy to do that. And while I doing that, I want to just pull up the slideshow one more time, because the last slide on the side of here actually has some contact information for me that I please feel free to reach out anytime you like. I'll be more than happy to answer some questions for you. This is who I am. Here's another link to those resources in Google Drive if you need to grab them again after this. And this is how you guys can grab me. This is who I am online if you want to see my social life. So thanks a lot. And if anybody has any questions, please feel free.
Okay. Thank you very much, Matt. And that link to Google Drive is in that slide. Could you send the link one more time through the message system, and I'll send that out so that they can make sure they have clicked on it? And because once we shut it down, it won't.
Absolutely, I will. I'm going to do it actually from here. It's a little bit easier.
Meantime, while we're waiting,
for me.
If anybody has any questions, it's either let me know you have a question, and I'll open up your microphone, or just give me the question. I'll be happy to pass it on. So Matthew, Sherry asked the question, do campus ministers count as educators? And can we ask for those kinds of discounts where they are offered?
Oh, I'm sorry. Say that one more time.
And campus ministers, do we count as educators?
So that's a really great question, and it depends on the accounts that you're looking at. But I always like to defer to yes. If you as campus ministers especially have an email address right now that's associated with your university, or you're capable of getting one, you basically are qualify as an educator. You also you are a nonprofit organization, and that's a for inside of the world of Google and a lot of these all these resources or tools that I give you that may come with a price tag every once in a while or have the opportunity for a discount. I would say that you guys qualify as a nonprofit, and usually with some basic information, discounts or free services are handed out pretty easily if you're willing to just hand over some info.
Great. So, any other questions for Matthew? Okay, just wait for one moment here, Matthew. You might have covered it so well. There are no questions. I know. I think a lot. I've never used Google Apps much other than a Gmail account, and I can see some. We have a variety of things that we use to do basically what's done in this one box, which is nicely integrated, like Wufoo and a bunch of other things that we use, MailChimp, but they're still all independent products. And I love the way that these are all integrated.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that's probably one of the most powerful things. If I was going to, and this is not to cut any questions off, if I was going to leave you with one last thought for tonight on and maybe how to follow up, or I come from a world where when you meet together as a group, a lot of times you like to walk away with an action item. If you're somebody who uses these tools already and you live inside, I implore you to try something new. Open up one of those apps that live inside of there that you've never tried before. Press a button that you thought you shouldn't press. You can't screw anything up. For those folks who are new or maybe don't even have an account, click that link that says create an account. And in fact, that slideshow has it right here. We didn't get to this slide, and I'll actually throw it in there. It's accounts.google. I will copy this and put it right in. Make an account. I'm going to send this out to everybody. It's very, very easy. You can use the email address that you already have or create a new one, and give it a try. Log in and get into the system and play around. It's pretty amazing what you can accomplish inside of there in a very short time. And that's kind of what I would leave you with as an action if in your busy schedules when you get a moment from tonight.
Okay, well, it looks like we have our assignment. Any other questions before we wrap this up? Okay, I am seeing none at this point. Remember, this will be available as a recording for any of your team or staff, or if you'd like yourself to go through it once again. The links probably won't work at that time, but you have the main link that you need. We'd like to thank Matthew very much for his presentation this evening. Thanks for joining us at this hour. And I know, as I said, I've learned a lot this evening. I really appreciate you taking the time. So on behalf of CCMA, Matthew, we thank you very, very much.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for letting me crash your Wednesday night, and have a great one, and good luck.
Okay, and I just have a few announcements from CCMA. If you will you read off these attendees? Okay, here I go. I should have read this ahead of time. CCMA's next webinar will be held on March 28th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, if that works for my schedule, and it does. And I for segmented giving related help you garner ideas for segmented giving related to your fundraising programs. I got that right. April's webinar will help campus ministers with the end-of-year planning, and keep an eye on your email for more information that is coming soon. Again, CCMA thanks Matt for his participation this evening. Thank you all for attending this evening. And just a couple of more announcements. CCMA's events page, if you go to the website, click on events at the top of www.ccmanet.org, East Coast Roundtable at Villanova, and West Coast Roundtable at Santa Clara, as well as Campus Minister Retreat. And you can listen to CCMA's Leadership Podcast on the CCMA website, as well as your favorite podcast app. Our recent podcast with the leadership team from Newman Center at the University of Wyoming provides some tips for a successful Lent. So again, we thank you for joining us here for CCMA's webinar. And again, Matt, thank you. Everybody have a great night, and we'll talk to you very soon.